Hey there guys, today we're taking a look at Fallout 4 running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U, and this time around we're taking a look at it with 8GB of RAM, but we are also going to be trying out the lossless scaling tool to see if we can get FSR to boost our performance here. Now you're looking at the game right now running at 1080p with the lowest in-game graphics settings, and of course we're running at the stock 15-watt TDP of this APU. Now the game is old enough where the 8GB limit isn't actually a super major limitation. Overall, the level of performance that we're getting at the full 1080p resolution isn't bad, but it pretty much borders on the edge of just consistent playability, where if you end up in a situation where things can start to fluctuate or things just get really intense, those 1% lows can actually drop below 30. That could become a problem, but for most of the gaming experience, things are going to be really smooth. Obviously, the usual areas that cause problems are like Diamond City, but Diamond City, most of the time, you're not even doing anything intensive, so even if the FPS is lower than you would like it to be, it at least won't be super detrimental to the overall experience. When it comes to things like combat, the game is almost always going to be consistent enough that you can continue to play. And raising the TDP up to 25 watts does help to continue this experience overall. Though it doesn't really boost our averages or 1% lows by too much, all I really found was that as I was playing the games, there was just less of a stutter here and there, but it wasn't anything remarkable. So the benefits that come with raising the TDP aren't really that noticeable here, at least with the 8GB limit, but the level of performance that you do get out of it is at least passable, and I think a lot of people would be more than happy to play like this, especially if you're used to playing the Fallout games on the older consoles. If I could have gotten this level of performance on Fallout 3 when I was playing it on the PlayStation 3, or when I was playing Fallout New Vegas on the Xbox 360, I would have been more than happy, honestly. Those games struggle to even keep a consistent 30 FPS at a lower resolution than this, but obviously we can't also just straight up drop the resolution down to 720p. What that actually ends up doing is we get a nice little boost in the 1% lows when it comes to interior areas, but once you're in the more open areas, it kind of hovers around the same range as before, and this is of course still with the 25-watt TDP, which is really what lets this stretch its legs. Overall though, 1% lows aren't looking amazing, but our averages are now very nice, and in a lot of places it is keeping very close to 60 FPS average. In fact, outside of the most intense areas, for the most part you are going to get an above 60 FPS average, with your 1% lows at the most going down to 30, but really hovering more around a 40 FPS range. So already more than playable enough, and visually speaking, it doesn't really look too bad, but we can try to use FSR to see if we can't make this look a little bit visually better than it does right now. Now, FSR isn't really going to boost our performance much at all. All it's going to do is just upscale this in a way so that the edges on everything don't look as prominently bad. And you can see here that at the entrance of Diamond City, the FPS that we're getting with FSR is solid enough. 1% lows are within the range that they almost always are here, and our averages are looking nice considering that, again, we are going into Diamond City. And while Diamond City can be just demanding in general just to walk around through, it isn't the end-all be-all of the experience in the game. So if we actually go into the outside area where you're going to be in 90% of the time, you'll see that at the 15-watt TDP, at least visually speaking, it does look a little bit better. Mostly the jagged edges around things are a little smoother, a little softer, but since this is a very low quality version of FSR, it doesn't look perfect. If you really look around the edges of objects, you will see like a soft ghosting around them, but I found that at least while playing the game, it wasn't so noticeable that it ruined the overall experience. And after playing for a bit, I did find that the image overall coming out of FSR did just look better, in the sense that it made everything look not as jagged and fuzzy as just running at the native 720p did. Of course, you could try to use the FSR at an even lower base resolution, but I think you're putting yourself into a position where you can really affect things graphically. Now, the real benefit here is just the fact that the lossless scaling tool is very cheap to get, and really the best situations to use it in are the ones where you find that the image for 720p doesn't exactly look clear enough for you, and you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of performance on the top for a slight slightly better visual experience, and it's not always the case like that. It really just depends on the specific game on how this, I guess you could say, generic version of FSR will do in terms of the visuals. Well, I think playing over a while and doing comparisons between the two, I do like the image of FSR a bit more in here. I'm not sure that the results that I was getting out of just stock 720p would be so bad that I just couldn't play like that. I don't think that FSR is a game changer in this one by any means, and there is a bit of performance overhead that comes from it. So you do lose a little bit of the performance you would get if you just ran it completely at 720p with no upscaling whatsoever. So really it would just depend on you in particular. But really, if you just compare the results that we got here at the full 25 watt TDP, the same as we got at 720p with the full 25 watt TDP, the level of performance difference isn't so substantial that I would say that you're really losing out on anything major here. But after playing for a while, I did notice that the full just native 720p no upscaling option was just giving a little bit more consistent of a result, in the sense that there were just slightly less stutters, but nothing that I felt was just so major of a game changer. And it literally could have just been down to the fact that sometimes walking through an area a stutter will happen, and sometimes you'll walk through it and there won't be. So it all could just be within margin of error. Neither is a particularly ultra smooth experience, as you can tell by the 1% lows that we got at pretty much all settings. They're all around the same range, so this seems to just be a consistent stutter within the game itself. But the main benefit here is actually the fact that you can play the game with only 8 gigabytes of RAM, and FSR might be able to actually give you a nice little improvement in terms of the image quality, and it does actually allow you to go even lower of a resolution if you really wanted to, though as we've probably noticed from all the results that we've ever gotten with FSR at really low resolution settings, it might just be best to leave things as they are at 720p. But anyways, I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this video entertaining or useful. If you did, be sure to subscribe, and as always, memberships are enabled on the channel. If you would like to become a member and help support that way, I would greatly appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.